So my last attempt, I'm gonna give a.
Okay.
I've recorded this like 5 times, but I have had problems with storage. I have problems with recording my mic. This is it. This is it. I'm speed running this. I don't care. I'm speed running this. My 30th spot, the baseline, I have Sanji. By the way, all this list is gonna contain feats, portrayal, narrative, statements. So it's not only just feats. I'm just going off what I feel like the story is trying to portray the characters as on their strength level. Besides that, Sanji is a great baseline. Beats King, beats Katakuri, no question. On my 29th spot, I have Killingham. Killingham, why? Yes, we haven't not seen much hockey from him, but that Devil Fruit is crazy. That Devil Fruit is almost on the level of Luffy's. Being able to conjure up dreams and nightmares into reality, and those same creations are not able to die. Even Killingham is not able to die with his immortality. Absolutely crazy. Broken combo right there. Probably is gonna die in Elbaf, if I'm being honest with you. On my 28th spot, I have Zoro. I don't think Zoro is that far off from Sanji. I think they're pretty relative. But why do I have him above Sanji is because he has better feats in scarring Kaido, blocking a combined Yonko attack, and using presumably advanced Conqueror's Haki or coding with either in his Ashura form and or King of Hell mode. Zoro in general was just more impressive than Sanji, and currently is confirmed to have Conqueror's Haki, whereas Sanji does not. At my 27th spot, I had a kid, but I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna put Sabo there. Sabo was able to hang with a admiral. Wait a minute. Oh shit. We're changing this list. Screw it. It was Sanji, then Killingham, then it's gonna be Sabo. Sabo was able to hang with an admiral. Is the Flame Emperor, is the second hand man to the Revolutionary Army. No Seshman Karate, has great armament hockey as far as we've seen. I feel like he would be alright at the 28th spot. And then at the 27th spot would be Zoro for all the reasons I just listed. And then at the 26th spot, I would have. Wait, what the? 26 Kid. I'll have Eustace Captain Kid. And the big thing in his fight with Big Mom for me was that he was nerfed a lot. Kid especially had taken damage already from Kaido and then was taking damage from Hawkins on top of that. And was still able to fight and react and to endure attacks from Big Mom. Right? He was a lot more impressive in that regard in terms of endurance. And really impressive in general. At my 25th spot, I have Law. Trafalgar D. Water Law. He was just overall pretty much the same reason I listed for Kid. Right? He was also nerfed prior to his fight with Big Mom. He just has the better Devil Fruit to me. Right? His awakening was a lot more impressive. His crew mobility. He's able to bypass durability much more better in a sense that whereas Kid kind of has to up his attack power, Law just has to co his attacks, right? On my 24th spot, I have Yamato. Yamato was a lot more impressive than Kid and Law, especially because she was able to hang with a stronger Yonko, Kaido, hybrid Kaido. The fact that she was able to fight with Kaido that long was impressive. Way more impressive than any of the other characters that I've listed. At the 23rd spot, I have Sengoku. Sengoku, look, there's not much feats to go off on. In the feats I will list off, it looks horrible for him. He was not able to defeat Luffy in that one punch he had when Luffy was trying to save Ace. And he was not able to defeat Blackbeard. Pretty timescale Blackbeard. So really the only thing that's carrying Sengoku is his reputation. On my 22nd spot, I have Gaban. And then I'll just say it. 21st spot, I have Rayleigh. Both pretty much the same reasons. Both use advanced forms of hockey in all three regards. Future Sight, Conqueror's Haki, Armament Haki. Right? They were of the top 3 in Roger's crew. They're both, well, at least Rayleigh was able to, he was served as a figure to mentor the Straw Hats, or at least Luffy in particular. Gaban, I see in the situation that he's going to mentor and train the Straw Hats as a whole in Elbaf. I mean, each have feats even now. Even Gaban, his little screen time that we have, right? He was able to blitz Summers. He was able to threaten Goku to the point where she had to resort to using his child. Rayleigh was able to hang with Kizaru, not defeat him, but at least distract him for a bit. At my 20th spot, I have Gunko. look, there's not much to go off Gunko, especially now that she's being possessed by Imu. But prior to being possessed by Imu, I see it that Oda used Gunko and Shamrock as the first two Holy Knights to be revealed to us in order to hype them up even more, right? I don't know what the I'm saying at this point. I don't know. Gunko, I mean, it's the fact that she was one of the first two Holy Knights to be shown. I hold that into high regard, that she's probably of the top Holy Knights currently, right? She was specifically sent with Shamrock to recruit Loki, right? I think Loki was known by Imu at this point to have defeated Herald. And so what better to send one of your both your two top strongest Holy Knights to recruit Loki, right? And the fact that she was also able to damage Loki as well, able to bypass that durability, not many characters could do that, right? On my 19th spot, I have Green Bull. So far, he just looks like the weakest admiral. The fact that he was able to be scared off of Wano by Shanks, he was having difficulties with hanging with Yamato, Momo, and the other samurai. It's not the best looks. I ain't gonna lie, it's not the best look for him. He's one of the few admirals. Well, none of the admirals that we know possess Conqueror's Haki, but there's a few that you could be like, they most likely do. I don't know if Green Bull does, right? He seems to be quite like a follower. I would not be surprised if he doesn't have Conqueror's Haki. And the fact that he was scared off Shanks, I mean, I don't see many other top tiers above him that would do the same. On my 18th spot, I have Ben Beckman. This is another Gunko situation. Not much feats. I mean, he technically has less feats than Gunko, right? I'm not using that feat that he was able to hold up Kizaru at gunpoint. Guns in One Piece are garbage. In the old gen, current gen, and even the new gen, who uses a gun as their main weapon? I know hardly anyone besides Yasop, who's another potential fraud. Ben Beckman, just for his choice of weapon, I mean, it's bad. It tanks him down a few spots for me. The only reason I have him this high, being the 18th strongest potential person in the verse, is because of his standing with Shanks. Being the first mate and right-hand man to Shanks, I gotta imagine you're strong, right? Right? He's also well known even by the admirals. I gotta hope there's some reason to it. So this is kind of just like a baseline, like he has to be here. Same thing with Sengoku as well. Guns are trash. At my 17th spot, I have Monkey D. Garp. Garp has by far the best show case of Conqueror's coding, even in characters in their prime, right? That Galaxy Impact, Oppression Impact was going crazy. That we have seen no other attack on that range besides maybe the combined Yonko attack, right? Just the sheer range and destructive capabilities that attack had, a singular attack had, right? I'm not saying Garp possesses strength exceeding 2 Yonkos, but still, we have yet to see another Yonko, Luffy, Blackbeard, Shanks to display that level of Conqueror's coding. And he was able to hang with Kuzan, another admiral, while also simultaneously being jumped by other Blackbeard pirates. His endurance, though, I would say is kind of trash, because whereas Whitebeard was able to tank a lot of hits, like hundreds of sword and gunshot wounds and attacks from admirals, Garp was kind of out just from like being stabbed once by Shiryu and getting hit by Kuzan a bit, right? Whitebeard was able to tank a lot more. Kaido, I would imagine, will take a lot more, and a lot of these other characters. And we do know that Garp even himself stated that he was getting weaker. At my 16th spot, I have Fujitora. Fujitora, again, not much feats, but because he's an admiral, one admiral that's kind of standing up to Akainu, as we've seen, that Devil Fruit is heavily carrying him. I mean, he's able to literally incapacitate a lot of characters just through his Devil Fruit alone, the gravity ability. We know that he was not going all out in Dressrosa, so I won't even use that him against Sabo as like a downplay on him. I know he wasn't going all out. If anything, he's pretty much a good guy. I would expect him to actually join Luffy's side in the final war, but still, I mean, his devil fruit's crazy. His observation is even crazier. Being able to pull meteorites from the space, or asteroids, whatever it's called, from all the way out in space. I mean, that exceeds anything that we've seen, even past NL, even past Gabon. Yeah, it's crazy. I have on my 15th spot Big Mom, the first Yonko that I'll state in the current timeline. Big Mom is impressive, but my big problem with her is that she's inconsistent with her hockey. I believe the only time we've seen her use Conqueror's coding was against page 1. I don't know if she's ever used it past that point. She sure as hell did not use it against Law when Law had her pinned down with his sword on her chest. She was not using Conqueror's coding there, right? Kaido, when you look at Kaido and his performance on Rooftop, he was consistently using Conqueror's coding throughout his fight. Whereas Big Mom literally only used it against page 1, I believe. If not, I'll show up scenes of the manga that shows her, but I don't think so. But even past that, we also know she doesn't possess Future Sight. She had to depend on Katakuri for that. She has the speed to hang with characters that do have Future Sight, of course. But the fact that she doesn't have that hockey is clearly her weak point in that regard, is what I'm trying to say. Conqueror's coding is not consistent. Future Sight is not there. Who knows about her armament hockey? I would not expect her to know Rio. It's really just her build, her strength, her speed, her physical nature that carries her, and her devil fruit as well. But yeah, I mean, Big Mom was cool, but she was beaten by 2 characters, like I said, that were nerfed already prior, while she was at relatively good health. She's also very mentally unstable. I mean, mess around with some food in front of her, break a photo, she's completely just lost her mind, and she could be easily manipulated, I could see, and easily outsmarted. At my 14th spot, I have the Gorosei, except for one character in particular, which I'll state later. But for the most of the Gorosei, I say they're all pretty much impressive. We have a character like Warcry, who has durability that's even Luffy with his Red Rock ability was not able to bypass his durability. That was kind of weird how I said it, but yeah, I mean, Luffy was not able to hurt Warcry, is what I'm trying to say. Warcry was an absolute beast. His durability is probably the best that we've seen so far. Look at Mars speed. Nushiro, his speed ability on the Egghead was crazy. He was able to blitz around the whole entire island, taking out a bunch of pacifistas. Crazy. It was pretty much crazy indeed. Right? He was able to catch Sanji off guard at one point. And Sanji, as we know, is incredibly fast as well. All of them, I feel like, are pretty much relative for the most part. And a lot of people like to downplay them because there was 5 of them and they couldn't even take down Luffy. I don't think all of them could, including Luffy, I don't think all of them were going all out. Because for the Gorosei, they had to watch out on the amount of damage they had to put out because of the environment. Like, they couldn't go all out because they might potentially destroy the Mother Flame or destroy pacifistas or whatever other important creations Vegapunk had. And Luffy, same thing. He couldn't go all out with his hockey because of his stamina. He runs out of stamina. He's kind of just dead weight at that point. At the 13th spot, we have Kizaru. Now, Kizaru was putting up crazy performance at Egghead as well. A lot of people think that Kizaru was stronger than Luffy, was more impressive than Luffy, and was playing around with Luffy. I do know that he had to help out Luffy at a certain point with food. But Kizaru was mentally nerfed. And he was not going all out. The big factor for me is that hockey is tied to willpower. And we know that Kizaru did not want to kill Vegapunk, did not want to kill Sentomaru, right? So that has to influence his will, therefore influence his hockey in some way. There were several points in the story of Egghead where he would crash land and he would just kind of sit there and lay there and not just want to get up, because if he had to get up, if he did get up, he would have to go and try to kill Vegapunk again. So his mind was not in the fight. At the 12th spot, we have Kuzan, much of the same reason. I mean, when you really look at Hachinosu on the surface level, you kind of imagine, why is Kuzan this high? This guy, along with the other Blackbeard pirates, struggled so much to take down one man, Garp, who was out of his prime. Why would Kuzan be this high? It's because the same reason with Kizaru. He was mentally nerfed. He had to fight his old mentor. right? I believe at a certain point with Garp, in this fight with Garp, Garp said that he was being a weakling and he was not going all out, something along those lines. Gotta look back and find it. And if he had helped out Garp in that situation, it would have blown his plans, whatever those may be. So he had to reluctantly fight Garp. By far, Kuzan has the best stamina feat that we've seen in the story, fighting with another top tier for 10 days. Outside of that, it's probably, Dorian Bragi, but they're like Mr. 3, Mr. 5 victims, so no. The number 11 spot I have is Blackbeard. Blackbeard, again, same thing, is not really impressive. He definitely has the destructive capabilities. And the devil fruit, right? His 2 devil fruits are insane. Both busted devil fruits, right? Probably the strongest paramecium paired with potentially the maybe strongest Logia, depending how you look at it. He's crazy. He has crazy potential. The only thing that's lacking for him is his hockey. And even his own mindset. He ran away from Old Man Rayleigh. He was scared by S-Hawk. He was scared by Sulong Beppo. He had to jump Law. He clearly does not feel comfortable fighting with top tiers. And I feel like that inexperience will show itself one day. And his hockey as well. I mean, his hockey, I feel like he'll definitely be a character that he clearly prioritizes devil fruits in general. Or clearly. But whereas his hockey, I cannot say for certain that he knows the advanced forms already. Now going into the top 10, we have at the 10th spot, Luffy. I think Luffy and Blackbeard are kind of relative to each other at this current story point in the story. Luffy is more impressive than Blackbeard to me by far, having all 3 advanced forms of hockey, a devil fruit that is awakened, whereas we don't know if Blackbeard has either of his devil fruits awakened, right? And then Luffy's devil fruit in general alone is able to, crazy, it's Toon Force, right? He's able to manipulate the environment and manipulate other people. Luffy was able to fight with Kaido. Yes, Luffy needed assistance with Kaido, but he was still able to endure attacks from Kaido. Had the speed to hang with Kaido. We've seen nothing of the sort with Blackbeard, or shoot, even any of the other admirals, if I'm being honest with you. But I think at a good point right now, Luffy, the only thing, whereas I feel like Blackbeard is being held back by his hockey and his inexperience with fighting top tiers, I think for Luffy, it's his stamina. Because, like I said, Luffy needs to be helped out by a lot of other characters in his own fights. Look back with Cracker, he had to be helped out by Nami. Look back with Kaido, he had to be helped out by Yamato and Momo. Even the Heart Pirates had to feed him at a certain point when they found him in the ocean, right, to regain his strength. So Luffy, several times in Kaido's fight, had to have been helped. On my number 9 spot, I have Akainu. Now, Akainu, if we're looking at strictly feats, would not make even top 15 for me. Well, maybe would barely make top 15, because since I have Kuzan here already. But I feel like off narrative-wise, Akainu has gotten much stronger than he did in pre-time skip, because pre-time skip does not look great. Does not look great. He was struggling against a dying, injured, old man Whitebeard, and even then did not win against him, right? Did get the upper hand a few times, but never outright won. He was still going crazy, I think he even at a certain point took on the Whitebeard Pirates, the remnants of it, in Marineford, and he still came out on top. I mean, that's so impressive, But for me, the big thing is that he was not able to take down Old Man Whitebeard. I think it would have been a lot more impressive if he did defeat Old Man Whitebeard. He was the one who killed him, but he didn't. And who knows if that fight continued on with a healthy Whitebeard, old Whitebeard, maybe Whitebeard would have won still. I mean, I feel like he probably would have, if I'm being honest with you. But I feel like past the fight he had with Kuzan for 10 days, I feel like he's definitely growing stronger. He definitely possesses some sort of awakening potential. Hockey as well. I feel like he's the strongest candidate towards having Conqueror's Coding and advanced forms of hockey. I believe in Marineford he did use some advanced form of armament, but nothing crazy. I just feel like narrative wise, he has to be here because he's probably gonna end up as a main villain towards either Sabo, maybe even Dragon, or maybe even Luffy. So he has to be here. At my number 8 spot, which I could confidently say would be here, is Kaido. Kaido, I know he was defeated by Luffy. I know he's the guy who wants to die but doesn't jump in the ocean or go fight Shanks or something. I know. But Kaido, even to this day, has some of the most impressive feats so far. Durability, he is only matched by the likes of Loki and Herald and I guess Warcry, right? He by far surpasses the durability of Whitebeard, Roger, Garp, Rocks. I mean, those characters. Endurance, he was able to fight with top tiers for much longer while holding an island. I mean, look at Garp. You want to bring up Garp? Garp couldn't even hang, was gravely injured by Shiryu, and couldn't even fight the Blackbeard pirates on his lones himself. Right? Didn't even include Blackbeard. Didn't even include all the Blackbeard pirates, if I'm being honest. Whereas Akainu was able to. Kaido was able to fight a bunch of the Supernova at full health, pretty much on his own. I mean, Big Mom was kind of here and there, but that's besides the point. Right? He was taking on all those attacks, fighting a Luffy who was getting rejuvenated several times, either by his devil fruit or by food. Going crazy. That guy was going crazy. He was fighting for so long. Right? Previously, he was fighting for 3 days with Big Mom. He was able to outpace Luffy, who already knew Future Sight, off of pure speed alone. And then later flex Future Sight. Flexes Conqueror's coding. The only thing we don't know that he maybe has is advanced armament. But obviously hockey's up there. It's great. We've seen it. His endurance and durability is also high up there as well. There's a reason why he was hyped up as this kind of big villain in this long saga post time skip of building up to Kaido. At my number 7th, and I might as well at my number 6 spot as well, I have, well, at the 7th I have Shamrock. At the 6th I have Garling. Now, I don't know if many people agree with me on this. I don't think I've seen many people even include them in the top 10 like this. But for me, this is obviously strictly off portrayal and narrative. These two characters have to be some sort of endgame villain to either Shanks or Dragon. Where Shanks, I could easily see him having to fight either his brother or his father, and not some sort of one-shotting kid kind of situation. Has to be some sort of long drawn out battle where Shanks will obviously win, but still it would be a tough battle. Dragon in particular, I could see him absolutely having to fight a Garling, and obviously he's a Gorosei member. But I see him being above the other Gorosei just off the introduction that he had, right? Being the replacement to Saturn, this kind of better version, this one to keep the check of the other Gorosei members. But I can't really say much to this. I just feel like off portrayal and narrative, they're being hyped up to be endgame villains, right? They're obviously at the height of the Holy Knights, one being the commander, the other being the Supreme Commander. They gotta be up here. And at my number 5th spot, going into the top 5 now, I have Mihawk. Mihawk, I don't want to get too much into it because it's going to involve another character, which I have further up in this list. Alright, but Mihawk, my big thing with Mihawk is, as to kind of tease what I'm going to say later on, what makes him the world's strongest swordsman? Tell me what makes him the world's strongest swordsman. Think about it, and I'll get back to him in a second. My number 4 spot, I have Dragon. Again, not much to be said here, but he is the head of the Revolutionary Army. He's definitely he was one of the 12 figures hyped up to be to find the One Piece. He's huge. He's the one guy actively taking on the world government as we speak in the current timeline. Right? He's the father of monkeydluffy, the son of Garp. Both ends of those lines are top tiers, right? Garp was equals with Roger. Luffy is going to be the new Pirate King. Where does the middle lie? He has to be high up there as well. Also on top of maybe having a busted devil fruit like the weather fruit. He'd be crazy. I mean, he could maybe even control abilities like tornadoes, hurricanes, lightning. He could potentially have that in his arsenal, but I won't use that yet. But just off narrative, I feel like he's high up there. Definitely has much more narrative importance than someone like Mihawk. Yeah, he's gonna be a crucial figure in the final war. At my number 3 spot, I have Loki. Look, just get right into it. Loki was able to defeat a Holy Knight Herald. Holy Knight Herald in particular, was probably the strongest character we've ever seen outside of Emu. Right? Even Emu himself said he could not imagine anyone taking on or taking out Herald, right? Taking on Herald is a different question. Taking out Herald is crazy. In the manga, it's a little unclear if prior to him killing Herald, was he toying around with Herald in his transformed Devil Fruit form, right? Because I believe prior to Loki transforming, Herald was already missing the arm that had the mark on it. So Herald, maybe way before, was holding himself back and just not even fighting back. But if he was fighting back and was still getting trashed around by Loki, that means Loki far exceeds him in strength. And when you look at Domi University of Rocks, it was said somewhere in that story in the God Valley flashback, was guarding himself with Conqueror's coding, right? There's kind of a balance between using your Conqueror's Haki in terms of attack or defense, and Rocks was kind of had both heightened, where Roger and Garp had to put all their Conqueror's Haki towards offense in order to bypass Rox's defense. The same could be said for Herald, that he had this heightened sense of Haki, strength, and durability. But my big question is, when he gained his consciousness back, was he guarding himself with Haki? I feel like he wasn't guarding himself with Haki, which let himself be killed. Like, I feel like if it was Big Mom in that situation, Kaido, Roger, Whitebeard, any of them would have been able to kill Herald if Herald was holding himself back like he did. On my second spot, I have Shanks. Now, big question is, Shanks is a swordsman. Why is he above the world's strongest swordsman? I'm not one of those figures that is going to say, oh, world's strongest swordsman means better skilled. Then he would be called the best skilled swordsman. I get that. Mihawk is not called the best skilled swordsman. He's called the world's strongest. The reason why I said before, think about why he is the world's strongest, is because I want you to imagine with me for a second. Just imagine. You have two characters. Character A, character B. Character B is called the world's strongest swordsman and has basically no plot relevance in the story whatsoever. He's just kind of there. He's kind of an end antagonist for one of the characters, another side character, right? But he's just there. He's kind of hyped up off his title alone, right? Has a high bounty, high reputation. That's all this character has, right? That's character A. Let's go to character B. Character B is called the Child of Destiny. It was an apprentice of the Roger of the Pirate King, right? He was trained and raised by Rayleigh, Gabon, and Roger. He was nearly a holy knight. He was actually preferred. He actually had the option to be a holy knight first, then Herald. Herald was equal to Rox, right? He's the role model to the current main protagonist, or the protagonist, right? Luffy. I could go on and on. A character was able to stop another Yonko. A character who's currently holding the balance of the world, trying to at least, right? Like, this character A is tied to almost every character you can imagine, almost in every way. And then add on to the fact that he was a rival to the world's strongest swordsman. I would feel like character A, even though he's not called the world's strongest swordsman, the fact that he has all this narrative importance, and that, yes, a few years back, a decade or something back, he was rivals with Mihawk, but was never outright beat by Mihawk, is used as a way to hype up Shanks. It is not the other way around. It is not a way to hype up Mihawk. It makes no sense for it to be that case. For Mihawk, I gotta give him some credit because he is called the world's strongest swordsman. I feel like it'd be kind of redundant if he got that title and was still relatively weak, right? Yes, I do consider Shanks a swordsman, but since Mihawk does not fight Shanks, has never beat Shanks, I mean, and since Shanks lost his arm, potentially Mihawk just doesn't really consider Shanks as a viable swordsman to defeat, right? But Shanks is obviously, as we know, not weak. He's not weak. And I feel like, if anything, as I said before, Mihawk's status and role is used in order to hype up Shanks. It just makes sense. It's clearly shown. I can state so many things about Shanks, as I already did, right? Was able to replicate a swords attack that no other character was able to do. Has Haki that's able to intimidate admirals. Haki that's advanced in all forms. Was able to one-shot Kid. Kid was able to fight with another Yonko. Yeah, I'm supposed to believe that Mihawk, with no feats, and the big thing for me, especially with Mihawk, is that in Marineford, when he first faced off against Whitebeard, he said something along the lines that he wanted to measure the distance between him and Whitebeard and that man, or him and the world's strongest man. You could infer that Mihawk is essentially saying that he's never faced off against a Yonko on that caliber, an old Whitebeard on that caliber, right? You could infer that. And again, how can you definitively say Mihawk is the world's strongest swordsman if there's other top tiers out there that he's not faced off against? Why did he not go kill Big Mom, right? Did he face off against Big Mom? Why did he not kill her? Go on to Rayleigh. Why did he not kill Rayleigh? Why did he not kill Bogard? Like, why did he not kill I don't know, so many other characters that I feel like, I don't know, I'd have been more impressed if Mihawk went to Wano and then fought with Kaido. I'd have been like, oh yeah, he's definitely out there trying to go and fight other top tiers. But he has no ambition like that. He has no ambition to fight other notable, strong swordsmen. But he does have the title. I gotta give it to him. But I just cannot put him above Shanks. For me, it's the opposite. Mihawk is used to hype up Shanks. And I know a lot of this was me trashing on Mihawk, but I mean, Shanks is that guy, dude. There's no question about it. Shanks is that guy, even with the missing arm. At my number one spot, I have Emu. I mean, it's pretty much obvious. That was probably the easiest conclusion anyone could come up to. Emu is broken, has dominated the world for 800 years, defeated Joy Boy and potentially even Nika. It's crazy. I mean, there's no question. He was able to literally no diff rocks, tanked an attack from 6 top tiers in God Valley like nothing. Yeah, no question about it. I mean, yeah, this is my top 30 list, man. I feel like it's my top 30 list. I feel like it's solid. The only ones that are kind of like could move around is Ben Beckman, Gunko, Sengoku, maybe even Akainu. All right, we gotta really see more of those characters. Maybe even Killingham. He might rise up, but I feel like this is a solid list. Especially in the top 10. Like in top 10, I can't imagine any other way. Maybe you could put Luffy above Akainu. For a lot of those reasons I stated that Akainu was kind of trash. But I just feel like Akainu got stronger. Now Luffy is just not quite on that level yet. I mean, Luffy in his Gear 5 form definitely is stronger than a lot of these other characters in top 10. But it's really his stamina that's holding him back, you know? And maybe even his application of Conqueror's Haki. Right? Gaban mentioned something about that. But yeah, man, this is my top 30. You know, if I don't really see how anyone could disagree. Mihawk is, I'm being generous giving him top 5th, if I'm being honest. But yeah, this is the most solid One Piece top 30.